Hello, and welcome to the Thrive Mindset Podcast. I am so glad you are here with me. My name is Carrie Dahle, and I am your host. I am an entrepreneur, author, podcaster, manifester, and motivator. And I am on a mission to empower you to create the life of your dreams. If you are looking to up-level your life, relationships, finances, productivity, and success, you have come to the right place. I will share with you tools, resources, strategies, my failures, and my successes that have all helped me achieve the life of my dreams. It is my goal with this podcast to help you see your potential and empower you to create the life of your dreams. So let's get to it. Welcome to the Thrive Mindset Podcast. I'm Carrie Dahle, and today I have Kyle Steinle with me, who is the founder of Do Good Video, and he founded that in 2018 with a passion for video production. But he has a newfound purpose in life to simply do good. Welcome, Kyle.
Thank you, Carrie. Thanks for having me today.
Yeah, so I'm most intrigued by Do Good. Tell me all about that. Where does that come from?
Sure. So the Do Good idea actually started in January of 2014 for me. It was this conscious decision that I made to do good with my life. And I just wanted to make a positive impact. I really wanted to do something that was more fulfilling for me by helping others. At the time, I was working at a university and I could have probably retired there. It was a very secure job. But when I thought about spending the next several decades of my life pushing an AV cart around the campus, it just wasn't very fulfilling. So I decided I wanted to do something good, something bigger, something better. And I wasn't quite sure what that meant back then, but I kind of put my flag in the ground, and it was a conscious split in my life. I instead of going down that one path, I chose to go down another, and that was the Do Good path. And fast forward, here we are. I started the production company and called it Do Good Video.
What was it that was on your heart that made you want to do more and do good for more people?
Well, like I said, I had been working at the university and I'd really been living a life that was self-serving. I spent a lot of time partying. I was on the 5-year plan at the university. Basically lived in a frat house for a while after I graduated, me and a group of my guy friends. And I was just doing like all the jobs that were fun for me personally and had a blast. Like I was teaching skateboarding. I was a snowboard instructor. I was filming events and weddings. So basically going to parties and getting paid to do it and film them and having a blast and having fun. But I don't know, there was something, I was looking for more security in my life. And that's when I transitioned into the university job, which gave me the security. I got another degree while I was at that job, which was very nice. Life hack, if you want a free degree, go work for the university. Tuition for free, which is nice. But yeah, it was like, I don't know, I was just kind of, there was something in my heart that just felt like I could do more with my time on the planet. It kind of parallels this journey of curiosity of what is life. You know, I've always had this curiosity of like, what is this place that I find myself in? Like, what is this reality? What is creation? What is existence? Who am I, in this world? And those kinds of creation existential questions have always been with me. So that kind of plays into this as well. And so when I decided to do good with my life, it was something about giving back, but also about discovery for myself. And it was about exactly that same time that I started getting into meditation and yoga and all kinds of like alternative healing practices like sound healing, Reiki and energy healing. And, I was really developing myself in like my spiritual side. And so when I decided I wanted to do good in 2014, I didn't start the company until, like you said, in 2018. So there was a pretty big gap there. And during that 4-year period is when I was, like I was saying, discovering these, starting to discover at least the answers to some of my questions about existence and spirituality, and started a meditation practice. And I was getting all kinds of benefits from, just going like to the sound healing classes once a month. And I was just feeling more relaxed and just walking at a slower pace and kind of appreciating the smaller things in life. And that's when I decided to do something to take the do good and pair it with video, because I had this background in video production, and like I said, I was getting these benefits that I wanted to share with others, and I thought, well, how can I help people find their own healing in the world? And it dawned on me, well, I'm not the sound healer or the meditation facilitator or the yoga teacher, but I could make a video for them. And so one day after the sound healing class, I went up to Patricia after the class and said, hey, can I make a video for you, no charge, but I get to use it as like demo, content for my website? She said, you're going to make me a free marketing video? Like, of course, yes.
Who says no to that?
Right. So she let me do that for her, and I made that offer to a few other people. And of course, they said yes too. So that's where I really started, was making videos for these healing practitioners. And I thought that if I could help these people promote their small businesses and promote their services, other people like me could find them and investigate for themselves. I'm a true believer of like, go find out for yourself. Like, don't take my word for it. Go find out for yourself. And, I thought the video was a great way to help these people get the word out. There's video is king, as they say on the internet. It's all over YouTube and TikTok and all the social media stuff. We don't have to go into all the SEO, the benefits of having video on your website and all that stuff. So I figured, well, let's make some videos for these folks who are helping other people to find healing in their life. I was certainly finding the healing for myself. So that's where it started, like really like individual healing. And through my own spiritual practices, I had this intention for the business to like let the business be almost like a doorway for love to come through, like higher dimension, like unconditional love, the power of love that kind of drives nature in the universe. And I don't know how woo-woo you want to get on your podcast, but
you can go as woo-woo as you want.
I'm all the way.
Yeah.
So I really looked at my business as an opportunity to use video to promote healing and to just let love come into this world through that work. And that has been the driving factor behind my work the entire time. It's, to be honest, the day in, the day out, the grind, it's tough, and it's always a test. And sometimes I lose sight. Sometimes I, slip into doubt and fear. And I think it's just part of being a human is that's there. But, I always find that if I call on, my guides and my mentors and my support, I have life coaches, wellness coaches. I work with an energy healer. I'm part of a meditation workshop. So I have a lot of support around me, my wife, my family, my friends. If I'm not afraid to ask for help, it's always there, and some kind of support, whether it's direct feedback or like an idea comes to me later in the day. Oh, wow. Oh, I could do this. Whatever it is to solve or resolve some fear or doubt that I may have. The love is it's always there. It's working. It seems to be more of how much can I push my mind out of the way? Because my mind always, is I'm an overthinker. I like to analyze and think about things. And that has its use, it serves its purpose. Sometimes that can get in the way, though, of the guidance of the higher love that wants to come through. So I've learned over the years to, open up my heart and follow my heart and let the mind and my heart work together. But I try to lead with my heart and then solve the techie problems and the analytical stuff with my brain. But it's really, someone once asked me, well, what does doing good mean to you? What does that even mean? And it really caught me off guard because, I was like, I don't know how to answer that. And I realized the word good is quite subjective. What I think is good may not be what, I think vegan pizza is good. You may not think vegan pizza is good. I love baseball. I think baseball is great. You may not like me, might like football or whatever. I mean, I like sports at all. So I had to dive deeper and kind of define that for myself. And so I defined it as doing good to me is actually has nothing to do with doing at all. It's about being. It's about being that love that I was talking about earlier, that unconditional love, that presence that's within all of us, that's that power that's within all of us. And so when we are that love in our thoughts, in our words, and in our actions, then whatever we do will be done good. And that's how I kind of define doing good, is when we are love, when we be love, we are loving, then what we do is good, and then we'll have an impact. So it's like that do have framework.
Yeah.
I forget who came up with that, but someone shared it with me and helped me to define what is doing good. So a little bit of a long-winded answer, but that's
It's
kind of
okay.
it's
It's
coming
okay.
from.
I think it totally aligns with the fact that I believe that the energy you put out is the energy you receive, or, so you're putting out love, you're receiving love. Have you noticed the impact on your business since you decided to basically put that focus on love?
Yeah, it's been interesting. There's been an impact internally and externally. So, and one thing as a business owner, I've discovered this is the first and only business I've ever started and operated and ran and owned. It's really a personal development journey. Like the things that I encounter in my business that are challenges and struggles end up being an internal personal hurdle or challenge or struggle or trauma or something that I've experienced in my life. Like, oh, like in the beginning, it was, hard to ask for money or hard to like create boundaries around finances and budgets and things. People would come in, well, I only have a couple $100 and well, okay, I'll do it. And then I pour my heart and soul and, end up doing thousands of dollars worth of work for a couple $100. And so, that was, so that's something I've discovered is like there's all these internal personal lessons along the way of running the business. So there's like this, in a way, I feel like that's the universe lovingly showing me, things that I can work on to improve myself. And it's like when I improve myself, I can fill up my cup, so to speak, and then I have more to give to others. And so I started out giving a lot away for free, and I learned those lessons, and then I was able to incorporate those into my business structure. And now I can work with bigger clients, and we can make a little bit more money, and then I can serve more people, and then actually have a little bit more money to give away, to say, all right, I'll donate some time, I'll volunteer for this, I'll help out with that. Because we do have some big clients and we have some really small clients. And, I think that they all need video in some way, shape, or form. And certainly they're all doing something positive to help other people, whether it's, an international nonprofit organization that's serving communities, across the world, across the country, or whether it's like, the sound healer down the street who's working out of, the local wellness center once a week. They all have something to offer. And so what I've learned is just by like being kind of like going with the flow and just being flexible, but also incorporating those lessons that have been reflected back to me. And some of them have been really tough. Money was a really hard topic for me when I first got into business. Getting better at that has enabled me to grow the company, but it's also been, I don't know, money's such a great reflector. So I have a bit of a story I'd like to tell about that.
Yeah.
And so I started out, like I said, making these videos where, I don't know, probably several $1,000s worth of work going into these videos for a couple few $100. But I was looking at it as an opportunity to grow. I could get content that I would then be able to show, as samples and get more jobs. So eventually that's what I did, and was able to get some bigger nonprofits and some bigger wellness centers as clients and bring them on board. And then eventually the work like exploded, and I realized I couldn't do it all myself, between running the business, the sales and the marketing and all that back end stuff, and then the production, the camera work, the editing, like that takes a lot of time too. And so I, coincidentally met an individual at a volunteer event. Shout out to Make a Mark. It's a really cool organization where they pair up nonprofits with creative businesses and creative individuals. So and it's all like volunteers. So the nonprofit says like, I need a new website or a new logo. In my case, they wanted a video. And I volunteered. I said, okay, I'll make you a video. Someone says, I'll make you a logo. And then we show up for the 12-hour make-a-thon, where we just spend the whole day making these things for the nonprofits. And I happened to run into another video creator there. I let her borrow like a microphone or something like that. And like next thing I know, I have this, the biggest job at the time that I'd ever had, fall on my plate, and she was someone that I connected with really well at this event, at this volunteer video event for the nonprofits. So I called her up, and she ended up helping me out with that project. And then she introduced me to another person, and the three of us ended up coming together, and we now have this studio together. And we work on projects together, and they enabled me to grow Do Good Video, where I could focus on the business development. Because back then, I really didn't know much of anything about the business side. I was more on the creative, and they didn't want really much of anything to do with the business side of things. And that I was curious. So I said, well, how about I do the business side? You guys can do the creative. And it was like a nice balance. And we started growing. We started working with the local universities, and our network expanded because the three of us, instead of just one person's network, the three of us together had a much bigger network. And we were getting all these great jobs. And what I realized, though, back to the money, I ended up being on the business side. And so my head was just in, sales and budgets. And, now we have all these expenses with the studio and, more contractors on board. We had a bigger team. And next thing I know, like, I am overly focused on the money. Too much so, where it became like I lost my passion. Like, I lost my touch with my heart. Like, it was all up here. And it was just stress. And I essentially, like, I created a crappy job for myself that one day I'm like, how did I get here? Like, and it showed with the team too. Like, it wasn't quite as vibrant, I would say, the energy that was between us. I wasn't on set as much. And I was just kind of like in the office all the time. And so it had an effect on our relationship. And this past December, the end of 2023, it really came out, and it had an effect on the sales. That lack of vibrancy, that lack of kind of connection to the love of what we were doing, showed it reflected in the sales. The sales were down. And so I lost my passion, and the money wasn't coming in. It was like, okay, something's got to change here, because this is just not working. It's not fun, and the bills aren't getting paid. So we got to pivot. We got to rethink this. And everybody agreed, like, this is we need to all just take a step back and kind of reconnect with what's in here first, because that's why we got into this work is from that heart space and sharing our love through the video work. And so I decided in January, Q1 of this year, I'm going to go back to scratch almost. I'm going to go back to filming and producing and editing and doing all the creative work myself. And I'm going to scale back and go back to working with the small business owners in the health and wellness space. So I started that Q1, and it felt great. It was like my passion had been rekindled, my fire had been relit, and it was like I was having a blast. I was back out filming, and it was so much fun. And then next thing I know, like, I'm getting more work is coming in. So it goes back to, like, if you do what you love, then the clients start to come in, because just like the conversation that you have, in a sales meeting, I know a lot of people who don't like, I don't like sales. Sales, it's almost like a bad word. But it's really, to me, it's like your mindset is how do you come into it. To me, it's just a conversation. It's an exploratory conversation. Let's see if this is a good fit. I'm very much like, no pressure here. If it doesn't work, it doesn't work. And that's a good thing. Let's find out if it's not a good fit. Then we don't have to waste each other's time, like running around in circles and playing this sales game. I don't like all that. So, but when you come into that conversation with the passion and the love and an open heart, like, that energy shows. And I just started, like, signing people up because I had rekindled and reconnected with my heart and my love for the video work. So I started signing up people. I started getting really busy again. And I realized the video filming part, the production part, was easy for me. I could do that, like, a day of production. It was a blast. I was having my creative outlet. But then the back end, the post-production, the editing, that started piling up. Mm-hmm. I forgot how much time it takes to review all the footage, piece together the narrative for the video, and then do the color grading and the graphics and the music and the fine polishing. Like, it just takes so much time, where everything was getting backed up. So I had scaled everything down, And then I realized I needed to start scaling up again. And so that's where I'm at now in quarter two is I've brought on one other person, an assistant editor and potentially an editor to help me out, like take all that back end post-production work off my plate. So I'm still, everything is, always flowing and ebbing and flowing. And so I'm still just being flexible with things, but I'm rediscovering that balance of like, okay, I can still have my creative outlet doing the camera work and the lighting and the audio work, but I can take the editing and put that off my plate, which leaves room for the business development that still obviously needs to get done, the phone calls and the emails and updating the website and social media, all that stuff that they don't tell you about when you start a business. You figure it out. But yeah, so it's been quite a journey of like starting small, growing, kind of getting too big, losing my passion and having to scale it down. And now it's kind of like this like a breath, like it's breath, the lungs expanding and contracting and getting bigger again. So now things are starting to get bigger, but I have more perspective and more experience, lessons learned from that last expansion where I hope to grow a little bit more wisely this time.
Well, I love that you've shared all this because I think entrepreneurship is honestly it's super hard. I'm not going to say it's not. I commend all of us that do it, and I encourage everyone to do it. But it is a hard thing. But one of the things you were talking about was it's how it's been it's kind of flowed with your own personal development, right? It's gone with your own mindset. And so I'm really curious if you could go back to that, well, I'll just say boy, because you would have been the age that my youngest was in college. If you could go back to that person, the one that's a 5-year senior, if you could tell him anything about his mindset to change it, then what would it have been?
Hmm. Wow, that's a good question. There's a part of me that says like I wouldn't change anything because the way that I was led to
Mhm.
where I am now. But I would just say, continue to follow your heart and do what makes you happy. And that seems to always get you to where you need to be or the best place for you. And for me, like I think that's what I would say. Just continue to follow your heart and be open and don't be afraid to say no. At that time there was a lot of pressure to get a real job because at the time I was let's see, I think I was working on a TV show that was kind of insecure, like, it wasn't great money, but it, ended up like the producers had a fight and then the show was canceled. And so it wasn't very stable. It wasn't like a salary. It was just hourly work and no insurance or anything like that. I was teaching the skateboarding, again, just hourly wages. But I can hear my mom, especially my parents, my grandparents, this pressure to, like, you need a real job, you need health insurance, you need all this stuff. And right, I understand why it makes sense, and I have that stuff now. But at the time, I was doing me, and I wasn't, that it just put a lot of pressure on me, and I ended up, I guess that's why I ended up at the university,
Yeah.
but also that's what led me to the realization in 2014 when I had that
Mhm.
split and I said I choose to do good. I'm remembering like the realization I had in that moment was I've done everything that I was told I was supposed to do. Like I got the university job, I had the health insurance, I had all the PTO. I had like more PTO than my stepdad at the time. Like the university really was a nice place to work. I had a place to, a townhouse I was living in. I had a car. I had all the stuff that I was supposed to get. And I'm just now remembering that was the realization. Like, wow, I have all this stuff that I was supposed to do. Like, now what?
Mhm.
And that's when I, realized, well, I want to do something that's a little more fulfilling, and not just, how can I pay the bills, sure, and have the job security and all that, but also feel like I'm doing something, positive. I guess, yeah, I would just say, stay positive and keep your heart open and do what makes you happy and follow your passions.
Yeah, yeah. And that's absolutely the key because if you don't go after what you're passionate about, you're going to stop. And you have to be in entrepreneurship, you have to be doing what you love. Because if you don't love it, it's going to be so hard that you can't keep doing it. You're going to eventually fold, right?
Yeah, yeah, you get burnt out. It's just And I've seen people, stuck in those positions. I'm in a men's group. We get together every couple of weeks and, just sit in a circle and share, what's going on in life. And one of the guys this past Tuesday was talking about this job that he had. He went in it strictly for the money. It was a pharmaceutical sales job. He had no interest whatsoever in that, but, paid well. And he said he would have stayed there if he hadn't been laid off. And he said, if I didn't get laid, it was almost like a blessing in disguise. Because he said, I would have been stuck in this job that I hated. Like I would have been just
Mhm.
hating life, would have had money, but not enjoying, all the life around me. And so he was very thankful to have found his way out of that job. I think the universe gave him a nudge to get
Mhm.
out of that one. But eventually, he followed his heart, and he actually he was into fitness, so he became a fitness instructor, and said it was like the greatest job, one of the greatest jobs he's ever had. So yeah, follow your heart for sure.
Yeah. What do you do when your mindset is not in the right space? Like when you are struggling with being positive, when you're struggling with maybe focusing more on where's the money instead of the money's going to come to me. What do you do?
I always take a step back. I can tell now when I'm up in my head and when I'm overthinking and worrying and doubting. So I always take a step back and go outside. I like to just sit on the ground, take my shoes off, take my socks off, and put my bare feet on the ground, walk around, or just sit in the grass out back. I have a little backyard with a fire pit. The dog is always trying to go out back, so he's happy to come with me. Uh, Sometimes I'll go on a hike with him, but whatever, it's usually just get outside, and get in touch with nature. And that usually helps to clear my mind and help me to get back in my heart space, which is like, my feeling space. Like, let me feel this out. Like, what's going to feel good? Which direction? Because usually by that point, my mind has got a million different things it's thinking about. Well, I could do this. I could do this. Or, well, what if I did this? It's like, whoa, and that's usually where when the doubt starts creeping in, is when I'm overthinking. So, when I step back, go outside, get off the computer, leave my phone inside, get some sunshine and connect with Mother Earth, the thoughts start to just kind of evaporate and float away, and I can connect with, okay, what feels right. And usually something comes up. Oh, okay, that's the direction. Like amidst the cloud of busy thoughts, there was one path that felt right, but I couldn't feel it. And so when I go outside and reconnect with my feeling, then, oh, okay, it's easier to identify that. But there's also some other techniques I use, you know, a lot of meditation techniques, whether it's sound healing, like, I do a lot of different, listening to solfeggio tones, listening to binaural beats. I have like some singing bowls and some tuning forks. Like, let's say it's raining outside and don't want to go outside. I'll get the tuning forks out, hit those together, and, use those to kind of clear the energy and clear things up. There's all kinds of, meditation, insight timer. I have a bunch of pre-recorded meditations from the meditation workshops that I go to, that are on my phone, so I can listen to one of those. It's like, I've got all these different opportunities and ways to like get into meditation. Lately, I've been listening to this track on Spotify. It's Alan Watts and some real nice background, like crickets and nature in the background. And it's, I think it's called Just Listen. So it's a little practice to bring your attention to your ears and just let them hear whatever they want to hear. So, and the thoughts too, bring attention to your thoughts, but it creates space, and just listen to your thoughts as if they were birds chirping outside. So, there, whatever your favorite technique is, that's what I go to, and, create some space between my awareness and my busy mind. And then I can see, oh, okay, that's just my busy mind doing its thing, and then connect with my heart. And like I said, that allows me to feel what feels right. And then that's the action I'll take.
I think the key there, I mean, I'm with you. I have to get outside. That is a
Yeah.
thing for me.
Yeah.
And I think a lot of people are, but actually I think the biggest key there is getting away from getting away from your phone, getting away
Sure.
from the computer, getting
Yeah.
away from all the noise that is
Yeah.
adding to the noise within your head. So you can just listen to what your heart says and what the universe is
Yeah.
saying and what's really there. Right. What's what important.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, it's so easy to you get off the computer and then I'm gonna take a break, and next thing you know, you're on your phone scrolling on Instagram, and it's just like you said, more noise, a lot more noise.
Hmm.
So putting all the technology down, and even if it's for 5 or 10 minutes, it makes a huge difference.
It does. I mean,
You know,
they're all great
music.
resources and tools, but we have to step away sometimes. Have to.
Yeah. Yeah. Music is another big one for me that helps a lot, get me out of my head, because that, brings up some feelings or whatever. I try to listen to positive music, but whatever the music is, it usually invokes some kind of emotion and feeling, so it gets me out of my head. And then the other thing I'm loving lately is on YouTube. You can watch these. They have like these 10-hour nature sounds. Like I'll put like a fire, like a campfire on the screen, and it's like you
Mhm.
could leave it up for 10 hours. So I'll just like put that on the background, let that go, or like a river or like some windy trees or something. This is if I can't go outside, that is one way to use. Of course, that is, you run the risk of getting stuck in the YouTube, hole, the scroll
Yeah.
hole, whatever you want to call it, the abyss of YouTube. So that does take a little discipline to almost like shield your eyes and just like, all right, I know I want to click right here, like click, take me to the campfire. Uh,
Don't show me anything else.
but
Full screen.
yeah. No stand-up comedy, no baseball highlights, no, yeah. It's yeah, but if you can put down the technology, that's definitely the way to go.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
do you have a morning routine, something that you do every day that gets you going?
Yeah, I do. I've struggled with routine a lot in my life. I like just kind of floating around, more ethereal,
Mhm.
chaotic, like so I have a routine. It doesn't start every time. Like at the same time of the day, but there is a general routine where I literally just go outside as soon as I can. Sometimes I'll take a shower first, but this morning I went right outside, sat out back. I just sat on the ground, had barefoot, just sat on the ground for maybe 20 minutes. So sometimes I'll take my coffee out there, but I've been trying to wait on the coffee. I'm a big coffee person. I grind my beans every morning. I do the French press. I just love nice coffee. And so coffee is definitely part of the morning routine. Music, again, I put on some music. I prefer in the morning instrumental music, so I don't want any thoughts or ideas getting in my head. I just want some nice, peaceful instrumental music. And on Spotify, there's a playlist called the Peaceful Morning Mix. So
Oh,
I'll put that
nice.
on. It's very, yeah, peaceful. So some kind of peaceful music, and then I'll have some kind of meditation practice. So, the coffee and the sunshine that kind of wakes me up and gets me awake. I'll sometimes do a little bit of exercise, like just really light, have some free weights and just to move around and get my blood flowing. I'm a little into the science of the body. So like I think it's pronounced adenosine. When you sleep, your adenosine builds up in your body. And if you drink coffee right away, that boosts the cortisol, and it kind of covers up the adenosine. So when the cortisol wears off, the adenosine is still there, and then you get hit with this really big crash. So the best way to naturally get the adenosine to go down is to do physical exercise or just spend like 10, 15 minutes in the sunshine. And so the adenosine levels go down, and then have your coffee. It boosts the cortisol, and then you can ride that boost for a longer period instead of getting a hard crash.
Mhm.
So I try to regulate that and wait on the coffee a little bit, but always doing the music, getting outside, a little bit of either sunshine or movement, and then meditation practice. So I usually spend anywhere between a half an hour and 60 minutes doing some kind of meditation practice. I'm really big into YouTube. So another YouTube resource for me is Sadhguru. He does this thing called Sadhguru Sanidhi.
Hmm.
If you're not familiar with Sadhguru, he's from India. He's the founder of the Isha Foundation, which is one of the biggest nonprofit organizations in the world. They've got like millions of volunteers. And he has his own sort of developed practices to help you get into meditation. He's constantly traveling around the world and doing talks and answering questions like Q&As. He goes everywhere from like spiritual centers to universities. There is an Isha Foundation Center in, I want to say, Georgia,
Hmm.
somewhere on the East Coast. They have a center in the States. And I think they've got a few of them around the world, but huge international organization. And this guy's like, if you look up top 10 in most influential like spiritual leaders in the world, it's like him, Eckhart Tolle, and got Wayne Dyer, I guess, was one of them. He's no longer with us, but he's up there in like those influential spiritual leaders. And every day they do this live stream. Now it is a pre-recorded thing, but they live stream it on YouTube. It's like 6:30 p.m. local India time, and then you do the translation. So East Coast time, it's like 8:30 a.m. or 8:40 a.m., something like that. So I'll get on there and watch that. It's about 40 minutes, 45 minutes, and it's a nice mix. Something I've struggled with in my meditation practice is just my mind getting distracted, my mind getting busy. I think that's for most people what the struggle is. And so, trying to sit down and just, listen to the same thing for an hour is tough. Just listening to silence or listening to even like a solfeggio tone is just tough. So this Sadhguru Sannidhi thing is a mix. It keeps my mind kind of not guessing because I know the structure of it. But like, for example, it starts out with like 5 or 6 minutes of just music. So there's my music. I get that. Then it goes into chanting, which I really enjoy chanting. I find, different chants are good for different things. And this one particular chant just kind of brings in some nice, higher supportive energies. So you chant for like 5 minutes, and then there's like 3 or 4 minutes of silence. And then there's maybe a couple minutes of a poem. He writes poems and he'll read a poem. And then it goes into a Q&A. Someone asks the question. And again, all this is like pre-recorded, but they piece it together. Q&A. It's always different, but what's funny is whatever the answer to the question is always seems to be exactly what I need to hear that day. Like it always relates to something I've been thinking or worrying about. It never fails. It always hits. So there's a little Q&A, and then there's something called Arati, which is like kind of like a song he sings. And if I can remember correctly, the practice is he's in like a temple, like a shrine, I forget what they got, an ashram, and there's oh God, what's it's like the snake, the Kundalini energy is like the snake, the energy of the earth, and right. So there's like this huge like snake, basically a statue that they're more or less giving kind of praying to and giving gratitude for and like acknowledging and honoring this energy of the earth. And it's a practice where he sings this song. And so it's kind of just, to me, it's kind of like chanting. At this point, I've like memorized it. I like sing along with him, and it's nice to just kind of honor the energy of the earth is the way I look at that. And then at the end of it, there's maybe a 15-minute practice of, it's a meditative practice where it incorporates your voice, and there's a bit of silence as well. So you basically make the sound and you do that until you run out of breath. Take another breath and do it again for nonstop for like probably like 8 minutes.
Wow.
And it's a really interesting experience. For the first time, it feels really weird because your head starts vibrating, your nose starts vibrating, and it feels like you got a tickle in your nose, and then next thing your throat's like, and like everything's vibrating. But what it does is it starts opening up that energy channel that we all have within us, and it starts to vibrate out energies, and more or less, it starts to open up your third eye. And so you do the and then you put at this, like when you're doing that first part of it, you're sitting cross-legged, your head's you kind of close your eyes and tilt your head upward and palms open facing up. And then after you're doing the you move your hands here and just kind of put your hands on your upper part of your chest, under your throat, and then he sings this song. I don't know, I haven't done a translation of what the song is, but I swear by the end of that song, my third eye is throbbing. It feels like I've even seen light at some point. It was kind of like something starts to open up. It is incredible. It's incredibly powerful. So that's the end of this 40-minute practice. It's called Sadhguru Sannidhi. Look it up on YouTube. Yeah. And I try to listen to that every morning. And so by the end of it, it's like, oh, I'm in like a trance, like I'm in a really deep meditative state. And sometimes I'll just stay there for another 5 or 10 minutes. Sometimes I'm just like charged up and ready to go and, run right into work kind of a thing. But usually I'll eat some breakfast after that. And then, because I try to meditate on an empty stomach. And then, yeah, eat, go into the day.
I love that. I'm gonna have to check that out. I think like most people, we get distracted when we're trying to meditate. My husband always says to me,
Yes.
"Oh, just anytime thought comes into your mind, just watch it like a balloon right off." I'm like, "Yeah," and then my mind starts thinking about balloons, and then I start
Yes.
like
Right.
thinking about all these other things, and I'm like, "Yeah, you're
Yeah.
not helping me." Um,
Yeah. Yeah. It's
that's
tough.
why I
It's
love the
tough.
outdoors. So just let me go for a hike or
Yeah.
walk by myself, and I'm much better.
I hear that.
So I
Yeah.
would love to hear about what's next because you and I are along the same path right now, and a lot of people know what's happening to
Yes.
me. But I would love you to share what's happening with you next.
Sure. Yeah. So I'm going, I guess, in a couple weeks on this
Yeah.
writers retreat with Laura DeFranco, Brave Healer Productions, the Brave Healers Writers Retreat. And I'm planning to write a chapter in the business book. I have this presentation that I do. It's called Demystifying Video for Business Development. And it's got 3 sections to it. We talk about like the power of intention and the power of thought and how that all in kind of is incorporated into the power of video. So it's like the power of video. We talk about video strategy for business, and then basically the third is section is I help people create a script. Like I have all these prompts that I give them, and by the end of the thing, you walk out with a script in your hand, ready to go film it. And I even teach you how to use your phone to film and how you can do that in free editing software. So I just set people up. I try to like just dump all the value, all the knowledge that I can. It ends up being like a brain dump, a knowledge dump and sometimes people are just like, whoa, this is a lot. This like they need time to digest it all. But I plan to take that presentation and turn it into my chapter for the book. So that, right now, one of my challenges is finding places to give this talk. I only have one scheduled talk right now coming up in July. So I'm still working on that game of like figuring out how to do more public speaking and do the presentation. But I figure if I can get this into a book, into the chapter, then just gives it that bigger ripple effect, more
Yeah.
potential for it to reach more people.
Yeah.
And the idea is to help people incorporate video into their businesses because video can get really expensive really quickly. But we have incredibly powerful tools here. We were talking about how it can be a distraction, but it can also be an incredible tool,
Mhm.
especially for creating videos. So trying to empower people, that's something, one of my values as well is self-empowerment. So if I can help people discover the power that they have in their phone and there's Canva and all kinds of free software out there to do video editing. If you have the time and the willpower, it's right there for you. And it's fun. It can be fun, at least. I think it's fun. It's a creative process. So I enjoy it. And then, it helps your business too. So that's the kind of like big thing that's coming up for me. And then and still developing my business, like I was saying, bringing back on the assistant editor and potentially another editor to help be able to take on more jobs right now. So and I have a big client that I'm hoping to secure. Doing some videos for them right now. It's kind of like a one-off thing, but they're an international organization that is tackling food waste. And they're trying to reduce food waste and really waste in general and try to tackle it from like an economical identifying where in the marketplaces the food waste is like where the origins of the problem and bringing together governmental organizations, the private sector, nonprofits, local organizations, and try to get in individuals and try to get people working together on this problem of waste that we have all around the world. So it's really talking about our love for nature, that's something that's always been a personal passion and interest of mine. At home, I do as much recycling as I can. I do the composting. I grow my own food, like fruits and vegetables and herbs, and so I try to be as sustainable as I can at home. But if I can support this organization that's working on an international level with videos to help them get the word out and help them have a bigger impact, like that's just really, really interesting to me. So that's something I'm working on right now too, is working with them.
That's outstanding. That's amazing.
Yeah.
I'm so looking forward to actually meeting you in person.
Likewise.
And also seeing what this book does. My heart is in it. And I believe that the things we are all going to contribute are going to be changing for others, life changing.
Yeah. Yeah.
One last question for you. My community is completely about thriving and how we can all thrive in life. If you were to leave them with one more word of wisdom, one more insight, what would you say helps you thrive?
Just be patient. Be patient with yourself. That's that's a lesson that I am constantly working on. I have big visions and I can see where I want to go very quickly and easily, but there's often a lot of little steps on the journey to achieving these big visions of, growing my business, creating, scaling up my personal, like I was saying, I grow, right now I'm just growing some like bell peppers and got some basil going, like very small stuff, but I plan to move with my wife and I are planning to buy a house this upcoming year, over the summer. And I want to get an acre or two and expand my gardening efforts. And, I've got all these visions of a greenhouse and like, stuff on the personal side, stuff on the business side, stuff on the spiritual side, and I, get impatient with myself. It's like, oh, I can see it. Like, oh, I want it now. I want it now. I want it now. So taking a breath and just being patient is really important for me. And that's the word I would share with people is just be patient. And sometimes you don't know, you have this plan, but you don't know, maybe something else has to happen, or maybe there's a roadblock and, it may not be exactly that path that, you set the target and then, the how, let the universe figure out the how for you and just keep following the breadcrumb trail. You take the next step and just focus on that next step. All right. I know I want a house, but today I just have to sign this piece of paper and get it notarized in order to do the next thing and the next thing and the next thing. So let's just focus on this and be patient and get this done. And then, that feels like a little win and then you can celebrate that. So be patient with yourself, be patient with others. You never know what other people are going through. They're fighting their own battles and you never know what's going on in other people's heads. So be patient with yourself and others. And I feel like that makes life a lot easier.
Those are great words of wisdom for sure. I mean, it is.
Thanks.
Key. We often try to rush things and it comes in the right time, right? It all comes.
Exactly. Yep.
Well, thank you. Thank you so much for joining me today. And I'm looking forward to meeting you in person in a couple of weeks. So,
well, you're welcome. And thanks for having me. I really appreciate the opportunity to be here and speak with you.
What an inspiring man, right? I mean, do good. Do good. That is his mission, to do good. And I love it. I love that he has gone on this journey, that he has worked through the trials and tribulations of creating a business and then finding himself on his way back to his true passion, because where your passion is where your success is, and where your energy goes, it's where your energy flows. So thank you again for listening. I hope that you've got something out of this. Please share, subscribe, comment, do all the things, please. And remember that I believe in you and you can manifest the life of your dreams.